evening, WDWA and Wrestle Talk podcast family. Welcome into another great episode of Elevation. We have a jam-packed episode ready to go for you tonight. We are going to talk with Zakar Shah. There's been so much going on between him and Clay, and I feel like we're back a few years ago, man. There's so much tension and hatred between those two all of a sudden. And then we're also going to talk with JTR. So, I can't wait. Donnie, my man Donnie, he's here with us tonight. How are you doing tonight, Donnie?
Doing all right. Like you said, it's going to be a great show. Zakar and Clay were great enemies before, and then they were the tag champs and great friends, and now they're even worse enemies now because I think they had that period of friendship. They got to know each other, and now those fires are back up. It's like they know what they hate about each other. They know what they used to like about each other, which they now probably hate about the other person again. It's nasty. I'm just thinking of the battles they had last time and what they did to each other, and it so far it already looks way worse than that.
Yeah, definitely. And just so much going on. Like I say, I feel like we're back, a year or two at least, because of all the back and forth between Clay and Zakar, how much there was back and forth between those two. And like I say, we got two guests tonight, right back to the beginning of Elevation when we used to do two guests a night. Everything's going full circle here. We are just, we're going back to the future, I guess. But, just to clue some people in here, let everybody know, we did have the Carnival show. We're not going to go through the whole Carnival show. There was a lot of action there. It's a show you definitely, hopefully didn't miss. But, so much has gone on since the Carnival, and we're not going to go through that whole thing. But I did want to mention, we had the fans weigh in before the Carnival show, which we don't have a fans weigh in tonight, simply because we don't have a lot of the matches announced. But
two.
Actually, I think we have three, but
I missed one.
We'll get into that. But we did, like I say, we did have our picks for the Carnival show. Donnie came in with a perfect card, 7 out of 7. There was one match we did not pick just because we didn't have it ahead of time. I came in with 4 out of 7, and Andy Omega came in 3 out of 7. So Andrew took the place of Gavin this time. But hey, somebody's got to do it.
What's Andrew got to do since he lost? What? Get us a coffee next time at the show or whatever. Shine our shoes. We'll come up with something.
Yeah, we'll come up with something. But yeah, one thing we will mention though that came out of that Carnival show was the Goons. They laid out a challenge for the tag titles. They are the third team to throw their hat in the ring.
I was going to say, I don't want to jump ahead necessarily on that because there's so much more that happened after they challenged. But
right. Yeah, so we'll definitely get into that. But yeah, so we had Too Hot to Handle, and it definitely was too hot to handle. Hopefully you did not miss that one either. You can see the results right there between me and Donnie. And we started out with some hot action right off the bat. The Outlaw Bo Ross versus the Solution Jerry Jeremiah. And this was a hard fought match, back and forth, and Bo fought his heart out, but in the end, Jerry Jeremiah was able to hit that SOS for the pin, and that's just all there was to it. There was no coming back from that.
Yeah, and it was kind of baffling because I don't know at first where the fans were going to go. I mean, you never know necessarily where they're going to go, but like when Jerry came out, they popped. Like they were cheering for Jerry. They were getting up. People were dancing with him. I was like, hmm. I was like, y'all realize like, and then Bo came out. So logically, you would think, okay, well, maybe they're going to boo Bo. Maybe they got some beef with Bo now. No, that wasn't. They were cheering Bo too. They didn't know which way to go in there. They quickly changed their tune once the match started, and the solution started pulling out some alternate solutions, and maybe some of those solutions weren't exactly within the rules, but he didn't always get caught with them.
Yeah, so I didn't know for sure if we were going to see another segment of his talk show, but we didn't see that. But so much else there was to see. Then came to our second match of the night, where we saw AJ Morales. He returned to WDWA, and he went against Jimmy B. Now, this was Jimmy B's debut at WDWA, and he had with him Tanya, the Asian Temptation. I don't know how Tiffany's going to feel about somebody using temptation when she is the temptatious one, but you know, he had her by his side, and there again, another great match between the two of them. We did see Tanya, get involved there a little bit, but AJ was able to overcome and come out with the victory. So, but I am sure that Jimmy B will be back at WDWA because he did put up a heck of a fight, and that was not the last we saw him by any means.
I think you're right on that. The thing with this match too is people from the get-go, you knew exactly who they were behind. The minute Jimmy B came through that curtain, they knew they were going to hate him. They had made up their mind that they do not like this guy, and he made some kind of announcement before, and I have no idea what he said. You don't know what he said. We were looking at each other like, all right, we can't hear you. The crowd they didn't give him a chance to speak. Gary didn't even stand up and try to hush everybody up so they would give him a chance to speak. But yeah, that was a great match. AJ Morales, really showed what he could do again. It's always good when he comes through.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then after that, we went into another matchup where we saw Party McFly. He returned to WDWA. He got a shot at our light heavyweight champion, Chulo Montana. And this was a great back and forth matchup. At times you thought Party might actually come out with the victory, come out with the win on this. But then, in the end, it just ended with a disqualification. And Party McFly came out with the victory, but not the title.
Well, yeah, the Love Machine. He's held that title for a while. Says he's going to hold it longer, and there's plenty more to talk about when it comes to Chulo. That was not the end of the night. Chulo, actually joined us later on for commentary. We'll get into that here further on down the card. But great to see Party McFly back. And Party McFly has been all over the place. If you follow Party McFly on social media, you see just all the places that he's routinely been in the last 3-4 months, I think, since we've seen him. But always great to have the futuristic throwback come back to WDWA.
And, I accidentally skipped over a match here, but before that match, we actually did see This Is War. versus money and power, and once again, this match was a great match, and in the end on that one, we saw This Is War come out victorious.
That was
And
crazy.
after that matchup, we actually saw This Is War throw their hat in the ring for the tag team championship. So actually, they were the third team, not the Goons. Goons
Yes.
were the second team to declare. This Is War was the third team to declare. And, what a matchup it was. And, all three teams that have declared
Mm-hmm.
are worthy teams, and, we weren't sure how that was going to turn out. And we will get to how that turned out here in a little bit, because that does play in a little bit later here.
And just look at the styles for the contrasting styles for all three of these teams. Really, all four when you throw the tag champs, UCK in there. But you're right. It was a great match. If you follow Frontline, the WDWA page, I think, had it as well. Wild Patriot, you will see what happened in that match between AK Bane and Cassius Cascarter. You get a snippet. There was a lot more. You do get a snippet of it and everything. And hopefully once JTR comes on there tonight, I don't think you gave him his proper introduction to begin with, but once he comes on, maybe we can get some answers on that. Yeah,
But then we went into, we didn't go into intermission at that point, but we did have a brief little break as the next match was getting set up. During that brief little break, Gavin actually hopped in the ring. He made an announcement at that point. He revealed who our new inductee for the Hall of Fame was going to be. So at Berkeley Mania, our next inductee, we would like to congratulate the one and only, the Latin Tornado, Andres Suarez, as the 2026 Hall of Fame inductee from WDWA. And, as Gavin pointed out, he is the brainchild behind WDWA, behind the conception of WDWA, that is. And so, as the brainchild, as under the conception, without him, there wouldn't be a WDWA. So, how could he not be in consideration for the Hall of Fame? And I think Gavin honestly made a great decision to put him in the Hall of Fame, and look forwards to his induction at Berkeley Mania.
Absolutely. The San Juan Superman itself, the Boricua badass, known Andres / Latin Tornado for a very long time, one of the greatest United States champions that Covey Pro ever had. That feud him and Gavin had for that title was epic, and good to see him getting his just rewards at this point. And for all the fans in the comments, can you name the rest of the WDWA Hall of Famers up to this point?
Hey, there you go. That's true. There's been three other ones. There have been three other inductees. So let's we'll have to check back and see if anybody was able to name all three of them. But
we also forgot to mention, somebody mentioned it in here, who sang the national anthem that nobody expected at this show.
Yeah, Jessica wasn't able to make it. Susie kicked us off with the national anthem. So, she did a good job on that. And, so it was a good night all the way around. But, then after the announcement, we went into a contract on a pole match. And so Gavin made that announcement while they were getting that all set up. And with that contract on a pole match, we saw Scarlet Maiden, Banshee, Lady Glory, and Amara Void, all four battling to see who could get that contract off the pole. And the one that got the contract, it was a contract for the women's championship against Tiffany Grady at Berkeley Mania. And there was a lot of action at times. You didn't even know where to look with so much action going on. I think at one point you were calling from one area of the ring. I was calling from another area of the ring, just trying to cover all of the action that was going on. And, we had questions on could Banshee actually reach the contract, as well as could Lady Glory actually reach the contract. Both of them are so short, and that contract being up there the way it was, we weren't sure, but I spoke into existence, one getting on the shoulders of the other, and we actually saw it happen. One got on the shoulders of the other, but it didn't work. And
too, like I said, Lady Glory, lived up to what I was saying too. She's like a squirrel, man. She just shimmied right up there.
Yeah, but in the end, we saw Scarlet Maiden come away with that contract, and we get to see Scarlet Maiden. For it. Yeah, there was a fight, and both women fell, both Scarlet and was it Glory?
It was Scarlet and Glory. They both had their hands on it, bringing it down. But in football,
in the end,
when you're going into that pile, tuck the ball, tuck it in, hold it close to your body. Maiden had that, whereas Glory just had about an arm's reach. Maiden was hugging that contract tight. Once they hit the mat, that contract popped out.
So in the end, Scarlet Maiden held on to that contract, and she is going to Berkeley Mania to face Temptacious Tiffany Grady for that title once again. So there's, I'm sure, going to be a lot of heat, a lot of tension there between those two. And, Scarlet truly does deserve it. Not that any of those women are undeserving, but Scarlet truly deserves it. She made it to the top. She fell. And then, she climbed her way, scratching and clawing all the way back to the top to where she gets that shot again. And so congratulations to her on that, and definitely look forwards to that rematch. But then after that, we went into our intermission, and after intermission, they came out hitting hard once again, because we went into Javari Wolf versus Jamie Hall for that championship and that Mid-Atlantic championship. And I tell you, this match was something else. And they fought and fought and fought. And when it came down to it, I thought Javari Wolf had won it. We saw the 3 count. We saw Javari had the pin. We saw Javari grab that belt. He was celebrating. I thought he won it. I thought he had put a short end to the reign of Jamie Hall. But then Billy took the belt back, gave it to Jamie, said, no. Both men had their shoulders down for the 3 count. The match was a draw. And, I think the crowd was in shock when that happened. No one quite knew what to make. But, then there was a bit of action afterwards in the back, and our cameras actually caught it here real quick.
Where is he at? Where in the hell?
Whoop, wrong one.
Are you sure both shoulders were down?
I was in direct view, all 4 shoulders.
What are y'all talking about, man? You gotta give me a rematch. Both of his shoulders were down. I had him pinned. I had him beat. I
had to make the call, man.
Call it.
All shoulders were
you
down.
You need to call it different. I had his shoulders on the mat.
I know, but hey. Come on.
Hold on, guys.
Billy made the only decision that made sense, right? And as far as I'm concerned, I heard you say rematch. He doesn't get a rematch, Gavin. You know why? Because not only did he not beat me, he beat himself.
You know the shoulders were on the mat. You not as cold as me.
You beat yourself.
Guys,
Come on,
This hunt ain't over. This hunt is not over.
Not now. Back of the line.
Look.
He's done.
All right, look. I'll make the call here. Berkeley
He's
Mania, the title's on again. 1-on-1, he gets his rematch.
How? What are you talking about,
Hey.
Hey, what are you talking about?
You must be scared. Chill.
You don't let him make decisions like that.
Don't get trapped. Don't get trapped.
You must be scared.
Come on.
Lawyer's gonna hear about this.
Cool off.
Go get.
He didn't beat you. You didn't beat him. We need a winner.
So that decision being made by our new general manager at WDWA,
He did
Jimmy
a lot.
Stars.
He did a lot that night. He's definitely, his head's gotten a little larger. Commissioner Stars, GM Jimmy, whatever he wants to be called now. He really interjected himself in that one, you know. And that wasn't the only time. That wasn't the only time that nobody made his presence known.
You know, though, Gavin made the perfect point when he introduced Jimmy as his new general manager or commissioner or whatever you call him. You know, he said, if there's anybody who knows about breaking the rules and knows about the rules that can be broken, it's Jimmy Stars. And, you know, that put it perfectly, you know, because he's right. Nobody knows about how those rules can be broken more than Jimmy Stars does, you know.
All the referees that are in the chat right now can vouch for that very fact. Every one of them.
So yeah, that was definite, you know, and but yeah, so after that matchup, you see now that's going to Berkeley Mania and a rematch, and you know, I don't know how they're going to enforce it because Gavin says there has to be a winner. I don't know how they're going to enforce that. You know, there wasn't a winner this time. Could they go to a draw again? That's the second time we've seen Jamie Hall in a draw. You know, we saw it against Carlson, the time that him and Carlson went to a draw, a time limit draw, and then this time from both men being pinned. So it's definitely going to be something to follow.
And Jamie Hall hitting that heart punch in that match too. That's something, you know, I haven't seen in many, many years.
But then we went into a matchup where we saw Y Keys, Y versus Clay Jacobs, you know, and Clay, as we've stated before, this is not the same Clay Jacobs we've seen before. You know, this isn't your lovable, fan-friendly Clay Jacobs. This is a monster. This is somebody that is to be feared. But, you know, Y Keys, he really held his own. You know, I felt that you know, Y Keys was able to really put up some offense at points, and you know, it was a decent match. In the end, though, you know, I believe Clay walked away with the victory, but then, you know, and that's partially because of Chulo,
our broadcast partner.
Yeah, our broadcast partner for that one, Chulo. You know, but then all at once, Zakar Shah comes out of nowhere. And, you know, I didn't know he was there. He wasn't on the card for the night. Nobody saw him in the back. I have no idea where he came from, but he came out of nowhere. Him and Clay brawled. You know, it looked like he got the best of Clay, you know, and Clay ended up going to the back, and they forced Zakar out the front. You know, they wouldn't even let him go towards the back again. They told him get out the front.
It took everybody in the building just about. I think there were a few fans involved in trying to get them separated, you know, and they made the mistake of having Clay go around the front when they were already trying to push Zakar out the front. So now they've left an opening for these two guys, and poor Jimmy and whoever else is holding on to, you know, to Zakar at that point, like, you know, their chains holding on to King Kong or something. It is crazy match all the way around. And you're right, Wyke's, he's our Holy Grail champ for a reason. He put a lot of hurt Zakar, or sorry, on Clay Jacobs, and Clay Jacobs put a lot of hurt on Waikes, and then Chulo got involved and put a little bit of hurt, interfered. He hit him with that mask he's wearing now. And
Yeah.
then at that point, Zakar came in, and Zakar locking in. There's shots of that on the WDWA page too. Zakar locked him in the ankle lock, saying he's going to break it again.
So then, once they got all that straightened back out, we got back to action. We saw a tag team match where we saw UCK with Lady Glory defending those titles against Tommy Vex and Ace Christian. I don't know exactly how they got the title shot. They've only had one match together. They did win. I'll give them that. They won their one match together. So, but how they were the ones to get the title shot when you already had 3 other teams laying claims to it, I don't know.
My
But
belief in the booking of that match was when Gavin wrote it out for, when he contacted Vex and Ace Christian and said he was going to team the two up, that the clause in there was if they survived that first match without killing each other, they would get a title shot the next match. That's the only thing I could figure that makes sense on that. But
yeah, at that point you came out with UCK with the victory, and they, of course, retained their titles. They then decided they wanted to speak, and they said Sigma Males did not deserve a shot. The Goons did not deserve a shot. This is War did not deserve a shot. They weren't defending against any of them. And, Jimmy Stars came out once again and said, yes, you are going to defend. And I believe that the Goons do deserve a shot. I believe This is War deserves a shot. And I believe that Sigma Males deserve a shot. So not only are you defending against one, you're defending against all of them. So at Berkeley Mania, it is a fatal 4-way for the tag team championships with those 4 teams. And I tell you, that is going to be a heck of a match. I can't wait. And wouldn't it be something to see the Goons walk out as the first women to hold the WDWA Tag Team Championships?
that would be crazy. That would be absolutely. It's very, very doable, and then could entirely happen. Any one of these teams could walk away with the belts, and like we said, the styles going into this match, you got something. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. It's going to be such a great match. So yeah, Jimmy. I think that was a good call, I guess, by Jimmy. He's just he's getting involved a lot in the decision making.
Then we went into our main event, which saw Buckshot Billy in his very first main event going against Austin Kingsley with JTR in his corner for that world title. And I don't know what Buckshot Billy was thinking. I even asked him later, what were you thinking? He entrusted me with his moonshine,
Okay.
and
Why
once
does
again,
everybody trust you with everything?
I don't know, because it always gets stolen. My hardcore title, it got stolen by Sam Adams. Then, at the carnival, while Austin was in the dunk tank, I held the WDWA Heavyweight Championship. And, of course, Carlson grabbed it, and he was holding it, and John at Austin, so that was stolen. And now the moonshine. Why does anybody entrust me with something? I don't know. And I asked him, what was he thinking? And he's like, you were supposed to hold on to it. And I was like,
You can't hold it. It's too hot.
but yeah, so JTR, he steals the moonshine. Buckshot Billy was distracted, and then once he turned around, that was it. Austin was able to get the victory against him and maintain that championship. But overall, it was a good match. I really enjoyed the antics of Buckshot Billy, as we always do. And so it was a great show. But if you missed it, be sure to check out Frontline to get caught up on all the action that you might have missed.
Step into the big house, WDWA. Earn your stripes in the big house, WDWA. The crowd is jumping, the crowd is loud. Everybody's rowdy all around the WDWA.
That's every Thursday night, 8 p.m. on youtube.com/Wild Patriot 22. Be sure to check that out. Juan puts a lot of work into Frontline, and, it's just a great job he does on that. And you actually, like I say, he catches a lot of stuff that we don't even see happen out front. So,
Right. I mean,
definitely.
just look at a lot of the Jason Curtis Sasaki stuff that he's caught in the back. It's been cringe and entertaining at the same time.
But,
Depending on which side.
at this point, I want to go ahead and get our first guest in here. I'm running a few minutes behind where I told him we were going to try to be. So let's go ahead and get him in here. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are plenty of questions that we have for this man. He is the one and only, the exile, Zakar Shah. Zakar, thank you for joining us.
No problem. We are running a few minutes behind, but that is no issue. I am glad that you say you have a lot of questions for me, because there isn't much that I can think about that I want to talk about currently. I really just want to get my hands on one specific person and fight.
Well, I'm sure we can figure out who you're referring to. I mean, you weren't even on the card for Saturday night. Nobody saw you in the back. No, you weren't there. And then all at once, here you come, and attacking Clay Jacobs from behind. And this has come full circle, because I mean, there was the hatred between you two, then there was the understanding, and you guys worked together. You guys were the tag team champions. Now, Clay has evidently succumbed to those voices in his head, and the hatred seems to be back. I mean, where did you even come from Saturday night? I mean, we didn't even, you weren't there. Where did you appear from? We were lost.
I was watching that match just like you were, just like Donnie was. And if Clay hadn't tried to pick up Wykees after the match, I would have just watched that match and left the building. But it's the point that he tried to make after the match, because I just wanted to scout what was Wykees. Me and him go a long way. Clay and I, there's a lot there, but I wasn't gonna ruin that moment for Wykees. I wasn't gonna ruin that match for Wykees. Little did I know Chulo was gonna do that. But after the match, that was a different story. Clay was all mine. They knew that if he tries one more move like that, I'm gonna break his ankle.
And the fire that you came out with, I'm not saying we haven't seen that fire from from you before, but like it's on a whole other level. The friendship you guys had, the fire that you had when you guys were defending those titles. It seems like that we've talked so much about Clay ascending, descending, whatever, becoming the apocalypse of wrestling.
Donnie,
Yeah,
I've worried about Clay for too long. I've worried about Clay and whether he's in the right state of mind or not. For a year, I teamed with him, and I had to worry about what state of mind Clay wants to show up in instead of being able to worry about myself. That's been the problem.
and I think
And
that
now,
problem is boiling
fire.
over.
No, wait a second, Donnie. This fire is because people like you two, you fear Clay. Just like you said before, Clay is a man for you to fear. But Clay, I don't fear him. I don't respect him. And I am never going to fear someone I have no respect for.
You know, what were your thoughts? What was going through your head the night that you were standing there fighting beside Clay and beside Y Keys, and then all at once Clay just turns and takes your head off? I mean, what was going through your mind?
It's both the feeling of disbelief and the shock, but like, I should have known. It's both those feelings at the same time. I should have known, but at the same time, I didn't see it coming. Not at that moment. I thought that if Clay wanted to get revenge for his ankle, he would have before that. But apparently, this isn't about his ankle. This is about the apocalypse of wrestling, or whatever he likes to talk about. And I don't know if he understands the magnitude of the words he used, because the apocalypse takes out everything. And I don't think Clay's quite ready to figure out what the apocalypse is, because Clay, you are the only person that is going to be taken out by your own actions. You are the only person that is going to suffer from your recent actions.
You said earlier that you can't wait to get your hands on Clay. Now, you know, a couple shows ago, you had an opportunity to get your hands on Clay, but before the match could start, you and Clay were just going at it so bad that they couldn't even start the match. And, you know, they ended up having to separate you two. And once again, one of you had to go out at the front, one had to go out the back. Just because it was
happened. I got into that ring, Clay slid out of that ring, and Clay did not want to get back into that ring. The next thing I know, Clay threw out the referee. I have no problem having a match with Clay. That's the one thing that hasn't changed for about, 4 years now? No matter who I've been, no matter what Clay has been doing, I've never been afraid of him. And if there is one thing I regret about my past with Clay, is what's happened to his ankle. But I can't continue to pay for my mistakes of the past. I can't continue to feel guilty about what happened. I don't know if you have ever experienced something like this, where a mistake of your past continues to haunt you over and over and over again. That's what Clay and the accident with his ankle has been doing to me for years, and I need to put that to rest. And the only way to put it to rest is for me and Clay to get in that ring. And I don't even know if we need a referee.
well, and see that's one of my questions is when you get your hands on each other, you said you just said, you know, to get in that ring. What is it going to take? Is the ring actually going to be able to hold you guys, or, you know, what's it going to take for you two to actually get this thing out?
Only me and him know what it's going to take. One of us needs to back down, and it's not going to be me. I'm not going to be the one that says, Clay, you're the better man. I am going to do everything in my power to have Clay back down. And I know he has the same mentality as me. So I guess we're going to see who's going to swallow his pride and back down.
Well, and another question I had, I don't know if Donnie has seen this or not. I believe it was just announced. Um, at the next show, you do have a match. It is not against Clay Jacobs, though. At the next show, you're going to be in a singles match against Cell Block Savage Jax. So how can you concentrate on Jax with such a strong disdain and everything going on for Clay right now? How are you going to be able to concentrate on Jax?
The same way I concentrated at the fairgrounds on the 6-man tag. See, every night, even if I am thinking about Clay and getting my hands on Clay, I can focus on a different opponent. This is what I do. I get in that ring and I fight different people I don't even know. I get into that ring and I fight them. I don't have to know what they do. I know what I'm capable of. So Jax can bring his A game, whatever his A game might be. I know what I'm capable of. Clay knows what I'm capable of. That's why he's not there. That's why they got somebody else.
I mean, I think we all know what you're capable of, and I agree with whichever one of you said it. I don't think we need a referee for this match. I think maybe you need some therapy, a little couch time, discussing some of this guilt and these feelings that you have now enraged you and sent Clay the other way. And
no, Donnie, you need a couch. You need a couch. I need Clay in that ring. Go sit on the couch. I've heard you two on commentary before.
Mm-hmm.
Way you guys talk about Clay, despite the fact that he has no respect for either of you. The way you keep on shining his orbs, I've heard you two. So yeah, you go sit on that couch. I'm going to get Clay in that ring, and I'm going to punch him over and over and over again till I feel good.
The difference.
Do you have to have?
You could see. What if Clay pulls the same thing you did? What if he's hiding somewhere?
I was going to say, do you have to have eyes in the back of your head though for this match? Because who knows where Clay is going to be?
Clay is hiding somewhere. Eventually, he's going to show himself, right? I don't care if Jax is in the ring. I don't care if 20 staff members are in the ring. I don't care if 10 referees are in the ring. Once Clay shows his face, it's on. And I can promise you, Clay is going to come out worse for wear, even if he catches me in the beginning. But I don't think he'd show up. I know.
It's definitely something.
Is there any repair in this rift? It's went on so long, like you said. It just keeps getting worse. The past keeps getting thrown right back in both your faces. Is there any going beyond this? Even when you do get your hands on him again, what if we put you in a cage with the top and weapons hanging all over the place, and you guys could just beat on each other for as long as you wanted? Is that going to end this? What's it going to take? And once it's over, is it over?
One of us has to back down, and all I know is it's not going to be me. It's not going to be me. So whether I have to break both his legs for him to sit at home, or whether I can just break his will for him to go sit at home, whatever it might be. WDWA is only big enough for one of us, and that is not my choice, that's his choice. But I'm willing to play by that. WDWA is only big enough for one of us. So one of us has to.
I mean,
I think that's painfully true.
You have mentioned, about, the fact that you broke his leg and you're sorry that happened and everything. But looking at the man you were then and the man you are now, there is a definite change in the man. And the man you were then didn't seem to have the remorse and the regret for what happened. And now, with the way things are going right now, can you go back to being that man that would have no remorse for it and be able to do it again if that's what it took to
I showed no
end Clay?
remorse. I showed no remorse years ago when Clay's leg broke, because all I could think about was the fact that I had won the WDWA heavyweight title and I was holding it in my hands. Looking back at it, I call it a blessing and a curse. But the thing is, as time passes, as you lose the championship, as you lose the friends around you, as you lose the power that you had, you realize it's all fleeting. It all goes away. And Clay's leg heals, but that memory of what happened to him, the memory of me throwing him over the ladder, over the ring and outside, shattering his ankle, that never goes away. And if I hurt Clay this time, it's because I want to. Because there is no championship involved. This time, I simply have to hurt Clay for him to back down. And trust me, this isn't something I want. But Clay has made it clear that only one of us can survive here at WDWA. And I refuse to back down to him.
Well, this feud is definitely something to keep your eyes on. You know, like I said earlier, I feel like we're back a few years ago, you know, when this feud was going on once before, and you just never knew where to look because it was just coming from anywhere and everywhere, and that hatred was there. And you know, now it seems that hatred is back, and you know, understandably why, with the way Clay did you. And you know, I was in disbelief when that happened. So Donnie, do you have any other questions? You know, I don't want to take all the time.
No, I think you're right. And I think Zakar said it best when he said, and he's right about it, there's only room for one of them in WDWA, and who knows who that's going to be. And as much as we do make Clay out to be Clay and to be a monster, I don't think we've ever taken anything away from Zakar Shah either. And the links and the depths that Zakar will go to accomplish his goals. We saw it with, you know, Supremacy for many years. And, you know, we've seen it with his tag run. But now, you've said it, there's a lot of hate, but I don't feel like we're years in the past. I feel like there's hate, there's self-hate involved. Like Zakar trusted this guy, didn't trust him, and he knew not to trust him. But he went with the ride. So now you've got, you know, you're kicking yourself in the butt for going that route, and things are way worse. And he's right. The only way this is going to end is one of them's gone.
So Zakar, anything you'd like to say before we let you go? Because you know, like I say, I do want to be respectful of your time and everything.
Gentlemen, I apologize for losing my cool on you two. I hope you two have a good night, and I truly do appreciate what you do. But if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, is that the next time that I see Clay, it's over for him. Okay? I hope you two have a good night.
All right, Zakar, thank you very much for being here, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you again. So, wow, that's, like I said, this feud is taking me back, you know, to before, and I just don't know where they're going to go, because it's to get their hands on each other. I really don't know. They can't even start a match, you know. So
No, I don't know. They can't. They can't be in the same building with each other. They can't. There's no amount of people. We can't keep putting 20, 30 people in between them. It doesn't work. We don't have the bodies to keep throwing that many people at it. You know, what are we going to do? We're going to start throwing fans at them next. That's not going to end well for anybody. especially the fans. We're not going to have anybody left for Berkeley Mania if we start doing that. Like, what do we do? What do we do? I kind of like the sick idea I had about throwing him in a cage with a top, or maybe even not a top, just throw him in a cage with a bunch of weapons and see what happens.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's something that I don't even know that a cage would hold them.
We've all
So
had that happen too. Like like all the stuff that Zakar's going through, and the order that he laid it out on. None of us can say we haven't felt that before. And especially Trey, being tag champs with a guy, having success with a guy. We've all had some friend or business partner or whatever. Maybe we given them a couple bucks, some money or whatever, helped them out somehow. And then when it came time, when we come calling or we need something, they ain't there for us. Or they turn their back on us and we hear that they're out, doing something else, or, stuff like that. So that weighs on you. And then they're like, you were talking about years ago, there was the past. He ran over Clay when Clay was coming back. The night Clay was coming back, that was the Holy Grail, 3 years ago. Clay came in, he did an appearance, said he was coming back, and this many amounts of months, comes walking out the door on crutches, boom, car runs him over.
But, it's definitely going to be something we got to keep our eyes on. But, we mentioned time, and, I said earlier, I want to be respectful of our second guest time as much as our first guest. Before we get to him real quick, though, I do want to mention, Wrestle Talk family, be sure to tune in next Tuesday night on Wrestle Talk Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, everything. We have some of the best guests around. We have another good interview lined up there for you. We're actually going to be talking to Pitt. So, he was trained by Seth Rollins. He's held a number of championships and everything. And he is considered the pit bull of professional wrestling. So, definitely looking forward to learning more about him. I believe Luke and Ace will be sitting down, not Luke McCarron, but Luke Skywalker Roberts and Ace. They'll be sitting down, they'll be talking with Pitt, and it should be a great interview. So be sure to tune in for that. So I tell you what, Donnie, you said that in the beginning, you don't feel that when I mentioned JTR coming on, that I did that introduction justice. So, I am going to let you be the one to go ahead and introduce your favorite person. Go ahead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of Elevation, please welcome to our show our esteemed guests, the only three letters that matter in WDWA, in professional wrestling today, Justin Thomas Rogers, JTR.
Bravo, Donnie. Bravo. What an introduction. See, that's all I've been asking for. This is the fourth time I've been on this show. And the other three introductions didn't even come close. Donnie, amazing. You've outdone yourself, as always, my friend. This is why you're my main man.
It's always great to have you on the show, because these are the shows when everybody's active, everybody's coming out, everybody watches the show for the next week. All the chat logs to stretch and stretch and stretch, because everybody wants to hear whether they want it or not, what you got to say.
That's right, Donnie. They know that JTR and Money and Power equals ratings. It's as simple as that.
Well, JTR, I do have to ask, though. Donnie mentions everybody wants to hear what you have to say. And I saw a clip not too long ago where you were asked a question, and, let me play this clip because I want your reaction
Who's he
to it,
talking about?
and I wanna see
Oh,
exactly
this guy sometimes.
why you wouldn't talk to this man. Here,
Who's
let's
this fool
take a look
talking
at it.
about?
WDWA, you're not going to believe this. I'm out here at the Delaware State Fair, and I run into none other than your least favorite manager, JTR. JTR, tell him how you're feeling. Yep. JTR, that looks like you after I slapped the taste out of your mouth.
It's real funny. Real funny. Real funny, John.
He's not thinking.
No, he's always got to try to take.
We all saw what Jamie Hall did to him.
Listen,
Poor guy. We need to put a home somewhere. He needs mentoring.
Donnie, I'm going to tell you. Look, I'm going to go ahead and shoot straight
He's
here.
got to stay relevant. And how is he going to stay relevant? He's going to start over.
Exactly. Look, about a month ago, I didn't even care about this guy. I didn't even know who he was, for crying out loud. And then Mr. Grimm doesn't show up for the Rumble. So, like you just said, Jamie Hall dropped him on his head really, really hard and scrambled his brain up. So what happens is this moron decides he's going to try to take that spot in the Rumble. And look what happened. Look what happened. Money and Power did what Money and Power always does, and they took care of an idiot like him and threw him right over the top rope. Now, and then what happens, Donnie? About a week or so later, after being a loser and losing the Mid-Atlantic title, then losing the biggest opportunity he's ever going to get in his life up to that time in WDWA, he loses that, and then Gavin on a silver platter hands him a title shot against Austin Kingsley on a date, mind you, on a date where he knows that it's a very important date for Austin Kingsley. He knew it was a very important title defense, and this is the guy he picked.
And this is
trying to throw him off his game.
He threw Kingsley in a dunk tank. Our champion, It wasn't even a dunk tank. There was a toilet above our champion. That's what you're saying about the guy representing our company.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
That's the way they treat us. That's the way they treat us.
And then this guy,
Gavin Jackson.
Why they keep giving this man stuff to hold, I will have no idea. And why Austin gave him the belt, I was right there. Why would you give John the belt? He couldn't hold on to his belt. Sam Adams had the belt for the better part of a year.
I'm telling you, he can't hold on to anything. Anything.
Well, there seems to be some distinction in the ranks, if you will, in Money and Power. And I keep hearing about plans and everything, which, before Saturday night, there was another video released out there.
Where you at? Hey, Kenny! Hey! Whoa! Boss needs you. Hey, man. JTR needs you. Come on. You gotta go talk to JTR. Let's go, come on.
Who is this, thing one and thing two?
What? Come on. Come on, let's go. Come on. Let's go, come on. Go ahead.
Well, boys. Thanks for doing what I asked. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, man.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Listen, hey, me and this guy, we need to have a few words.
Yeah, good.
I got it from him.
Got it?
I got it.
All right.
Yes.
Hey.
Take it easy. Come on.
Stop that.
Come on. Listen up. Hey.
Thing three.
Listen. I got it.
What?
Look. Hey,
right.
listen.
What?
Listen. I know things haven't been going. All right. But look, we've been together for 3 years. Okay? 3 years. You have always been my guy. Okay? Listen, this whole thing, it's gone way too far. It's way too far. I know I have the number one contender and I have the heavyweight champion. And I think I found a way to solve all this. 2 letters. 2 letters. A-K.
A-K?
A-K. That's right. A-K.
Get
what I'm saying?
What are you saying? What are you saying?
A-K
Heavyweights.
That's right. That's right. Think we can work it out?
Now you're thinking.
Listen,
Now you're thinking.
listen. The Helm's got a little surprise for you. Go catch up with them. Okay?
Surprise.
Go.
Ready up, me.
So come Berkeley Mania, what horse will you be backing? Will you be backing AK, or are you going to be backing Austin Kingsley AK?
Hoss, listen, that's none of your business. My plans and what I have in store, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell anybody because it's none of your business. It's none of the hillbillies in West Virginia's business. It's none of Gavin Jackson's business. Here's the reality is, you know, somewhere along the line, somebody in the front office, I don't know if it's Gavin, I don't know if it's his new little pocket holder, Jimmy Stars, whatever you want to call his little new title that he's got and his new role. But I feel like they're out to create dissension within Money and Power. That's what they're trying to do. When in fact, there is no problem at all. Look, Hoss, you can say what you want, but the facts, the absolute facts are that JTR, holds all the cards at Berkeley Mania. I have the #1 contender, and I have the heavyweight champion. Now you tell me, in reality, no matter what happens, and this is why Gavin Jackson hates it, and he was so upset at the Rumble when I looked up at him and he was standing up atop that loft. He knows. He knows that last year he did everything in his power to make sure that I left Berkeley Mania without his heavyweight championship and representing his company. And this year, there's nothing he can do about it. Because no matter what, at the end of the day, JTR wins.
Exactly right.
Simple as that.
Well, the
I
fans
didn't want
seem
to
to
believe that video. I didn't want to believe it for one because I didn't know. I don't know if they made a movie with the thing 1 and 2, but I honestly didn't know that AK Bank could read for 1. And for 2, that weird thing he was doing where anytime somebody would touch him, he would like wipe it off and sniff his
Yes.
hand. That was kind of disturbing.
Donnie, that's how you know it's fake. AI is extremely advanced. Extremely advanced. It's amazing what you can do with these deep fakes and this AI stuff these days. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting the lengths that whoever is behind all these deep fakes, it's disgusting what they're doing to try to create dissension. In my organization, we're a unit. We're a solid team. Rock solid, baby.
Well, you know, you mentioned that you're a team and you mentioned a plan. Is it all part of the plan that Austin Kingsley almost got his chest caved in by AK when he tagged him in? Or that Cassius was thrown over the top rope this past week when he tagged himself in? You know, was that all part of the plan? Is that showing that there's no distension?
Hoss, listen. You're getting real close here. But what I'm going to tell you is AK gets a little excited. He's a little high strung. So, you know, things happen sometimes. Things happen. But he's perfectly fine. We've had a conversation. And the rest of the world ain't going to be privileged enough to see the conversation. But what I can tell you is that I've talked to him. And he's been with me for 3+ years. I'm the one that brought him to the dance, so to speak. That man listens to me, and he understands that I took him to the top, and he understands that he needs to follow the plan. And one thing that he doesn't need to do is listen to those morons chanting his name in West Virginia week after week. They continue to chant. And you know what? It might have got to him. He's human, right? He's human. It might have got to him. But I've explained. I've explained very, very thoroughly to him that he does not need those people, and he is not to listen to that nonsense and feed into it.
I've heard AK called a lot of things, but this is the first time I've ever heard him called human.
Well,
That's true.
he is a human. Doesn't change the fact that he's still a feral monster of a human.
And all these people want to feed into this. They want to believe because they want to believe, like all great dynasties, money and power is falling. It's going the routes of Rome, or some people would say America now, or wherever. All the great dynasties are eventually destined to fail. But at the same time, look at all the factions and wrestling's past and all that. Have you not seen illusions of problems happen before?
Exactly. Exactly.
You're getting taken for a ride, and then all your emotions are right there. You think AK is going to do what you consider the right thing, and then AK shows his hand, and he's still aligned with money and power. I don't get why people,
Donnie, the fact is, man, is people want to believe in fairy tales. They want to believe that this is going to happen. This is what they want. But it doesn't matter what they want, because it only matters what I want. Read the bottom. There's only 3 letters that matter, and they're J, T, and R.
People want to see success fall. They want to see success fail.
That's in dynasties like you talk about, Donnie, the average dynasty, Rome, America, you get 250 years out of a dynasty. So I hate to tell you, we got a long time to go, baby.
So, with everybody focusing on AK versus Austin Kingsley, and everybody focusing on what's going on within Money and Power, should Money and Power be concerned at all about that holy grail that's still floating around?
I don't think so. Listen, Sean Carlson said it the other week. The numbers game. Hoss. That's the thing. When you go up against Money and Power, you can't beat. Look, numbers don't lie, and you can't beat numbers. You can't beat the math, and you can't beat numbers. And we're always going to make sure that we have the advantage, and I have the plan one way or another. Look, I don't care about that. I don't care about that one bit. I tell you what I do care about, though, Hoss. There is a certain little chicken farmer out of Delaware who calls himself the ranch hand, who is really starting to get under my skin. You really didn't give me an opportunity to say what I wanted to say after you played that stupid video that he took and pretended like he was talking to me, and he's down there talking to some pig down at the Delaware Fair. That guy is getting under my skin. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Well, is that all you got to say about it?
No, I got plenty to say, as a matter of fact. Sean Carlson, I don't know what rock you crawled out of. Now, listen. I know everybody wants to get on the JTR train and take a ride, because they know that it's going to take you to the top of the marquee. It's going to take you to the main event. And that's exactly where he's trying to go. And he's trying to ride my coattails to get there. But I got news for you, Carlson. I don't have time for an idiot pretend cowboy chicken farmer from Delaware like yourself. So you can shoot all the videos you want, but look, you better find something else to do, because you, pal, are a poor excuse for what you claim to be. You walk around with a cowboy hat with a feather in it. Look, I see your boots. They're cheap garbage. A cheap pair of just knockoff garbage cowboy boots. A real cowboy, not a ranch hand, a ranch owner like JTR. I'm a cowboy. You see that hat right behind me? You see those buckles? Look, you see these beautiful Western shirts? Donnie, you know all about them. Look, Carlson, you can say what you want on Frontline about me 2 weeks ago. It doesn't matter because everybody can look at you and look at me, and they can just see that you're the Temu version of me, pal. That's all it is. And for some reason, you've become a really, really big fan of mine lately. And like I said the other day on Facebook, you're acting like a little toddler who isn't getting their way because their parents not paying attention to them. They're ignoring them. That's what I've been doing. I've been ignoring you. But you're getting to the point where you're pissing me off. So now I came on here tonight specifically to give you a little attention because that's what you want, clearly.
Well, you pointed out you got the hat there and everything. Carlson did his JTR, so does JTR want to do a Carlson impression?
Oh, Hoss, that's good. Look, you know what? I don't need to do an impression of that guy because everything that just came out of my mouth, it self-describes him. He's just a broke, poor, dirty, disgusting. Look, he calls himself a farmer. He's from Delaware. Let me tell you something. The only thing they farm in Delaware is stinky-ass chickens. That's it. When I ride through there to get to my place at the beach down in Maryland, that's all you smell. The disgusting chicken farms over there. You don't see a horse. There ain't no nice ranches like mine. It's just double wides and big, broken down old barns full of stinky chickens. You can't ride a chicken, Hoss. Does he ride a chicken? Is that what kind of cowboy he is?
There must be a pig or two.
I think he was snuggling with that pig before the thing.
Yeah, that's the reality. That's the reality.
Because they're like, you can't be snuggling out of here with the exhibit animals. And he's like, oh, let me do a little video so people don't think I'm a weirdo now.
Exactly.
And that's exactly. You're right. It's ranch hand sounds way better than CFC, top farmer Carson or whatever.
You got it. You got it. And again, let's think about it for a second. What's a ranch hand? A ranch hand is the damn helper of the ranch owner. He talks about me never being on a farm, not getting dirty, whatever. I don't need to. You know why? Because I have enough money to pay an idiot like a guy, like a ranch hand, to go out there and clean up the cow manure, muck the stalls. That's what a ranch hand does. He's a hillbilly who's at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to the farm ranch world. And a guy like him, he represents everything that those disgusting West Virginians stand for over there. He watches NASCAR. He gets over there. He comes out. He talks to the people. He glad hands them, kisses their behinds, talks about cars driving around in a freaking circle. They get along great with him. That's why they love him, because he's one of them. But what does that say about you? You're one of the hillbillies. You're one of the inbreds, Carlson. Is that something to be proud of? No.
What's wrong with NASCAR?
Are you freaking kidding me? It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Anybody that watches that's an idiot.
Well, Donnie, I want to make sure you get all of your 2 cents worth in here. I did most of the talking with Zakar, so I'm going to give you a little more time here.
Good, because I've heard about enough of your stuff.
I thought I had done pretty much most of it through here, and I didn't think you had too much to say, but maybe that was on purpose too, because I don't want you offending our most distinguished guests. And like
he's already done it, Donnie. He's already done it.
He always does that. We get somebody good on here that maybe we can learn something from, and he wants to trash them and come up with stupid little stuff and all that. But we get somebody on here, like I don't know, Carlson or Keys, and he wants to kiss their behind.
I watched it back. It was painful to watch, but I watched it back.
And you've got everything lined up, like you said. Berkeley Mania, you can't lose one way or the other.
No, one way or the other, I come out of there a winner. And I can assure you, regardless, both members of that main event are okay. We've already discussed the outcome. We already know. We already know where we're headed. I know the outcome, Donnie. And everybody's good with it because I have a tight-knit team. Speaking of teams, one thing I'm not good with at Berkeley Mania, as a matter of fact, the helm. What this four-way tag match that, like I said, this new little errand boy, Jimmy Stars, is running around making all these matches. Where's the helm?
Exactly.
Where the hell is the helm? They've been absolutely unstoppable.
I was going to ask that question myself, but instead we got like the Goons and Sigma. And the helm, you're right, the helm's unstoppable. They've been there way more than any of the other teams, even the tag champs.
It's the constant favoritism. Just like Gavin, look, the front office earlier, I made a great point like I always do. The front office giving a loser like Carlson. He lost the freaking belt. He lost the Rumble. He lost to Austin. What are they going to give him next? What are they going to make a special championship for him? I mean, they continue to show favoritism and do anything they can to just try to keep Money and Power and JTR down. I mean, we go out there, the helm has dominated. There's no questions. They should be the number one contenders. And what do? Not even in the match. Not even thought of.
No, I agree with you. They should be in the match. And
yeah.
Before, I know you were looking at, and this was way back in the past, you were looking to add on to Money and Power and, add, some female talent to the division or in the division. Is there any thoughts about expanding maybe in the female athletes as well, since Dex, just got him one?
Listen, I got a few prospects. Not many people have probably ever seen them in WDWA before. I'm working on a few things, and that's down the road. But for now, here's the thing. I'm focused on one thing, and that is having the biggest after party after Berkeley Mania, because what a success. I mean, what a success. You talk about, beating all the odds. I mean, Gavin and the WDWA have tried to stack the odds against me so bad and to get that belt away from me. And look what I did, Donnie. I outsmarted them every freaking step of the way. So much that not only, now last year, look, Money and Power, we're no stranger to being at the top of the marquee in the main event at the biggest show of the year. But not only do I have one competitor in that spot, I got the whole damn main event. And that's all I care about right now. Nobody out there, not even that stupid freaking moron Sean Carlson, could rain on my parade right now, because that is how wonderful things are going.
And how great is that everything played out exactly the way you wanted it to, the way you had it planned out. Yeah, there was some adjusting, there were some audibles you had to call on the way, but you made the audibles and you got the same results you wanted. You have nothing to lose.
Donnie, you got it. You got it.
It worked out exactly the way you had it set up, despite everything anybody wanted to do.
I got to give credit, first of all, to myself for the absolute genius idea that it was. Second, I'll give credit to my father, who was a very, very successful man. That's why I'm successful as I am. He taught me. You have to plan your work and work your plan. And that's exactly what I did. And like you said, sometimes you got to call an audible. Even the best, Peyton Manning, the greatest quarterback of all time, he called audibles all the time.
Now, Donnie, I do have a favor to ask of you, though. After Berkeley Mania, he's already mentioned this huge after party that he's planning. Just, if you're going to the after party, which I know you will, just please be careful, watch yourself, because every time you go to one of his Diddy parties, you disappear
No,
for
no.
weeks on end. You miss elevation afterwards. You miss coming to commentary afterwards. You're always missing stuff after his parties. So
There he goes again. He can't freaking help himself. He can't freaking help himself. What an idiot. What a freaking idiot. Donnie, I am very sorry that you have to deal with this week after week. It's just disgusting.
I get it. I mean, we all have our fights, we have our challenges. Yours happens to be with WDWA management repeatedly, and now I got to work with John. We do what we got to do.
Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. I feel really, really, I feel for you.
So Donnie, do you have anything else for JTR? I think Donnie must be frozen.
He'll come back.
Can
Donnie?
you
Donnie?
get him some better
There he is.
Wi-Fi?
I will actually. I'll get him a Starlink. I'm shipping one, pal.
Not that it worked for you last time, because you
There
had
we
said
go.
you were coming on, and then all of a sudden from your private island there was no service or something, and you missed
Listen,
that.
I was
show.
on my boat. Service was a little sketchy. Okay, I can't help that. I can't control that. But look, I'm here right now. That's all that counts. Also, stop taking digs at me again. That's number 17. I've been counting.
Well,
Oh, that's insane. He counts way further than Joe can.
Yeah,
I will give you that. But if I'm only up to 17, I need to get my pace up a little more. I tell you.
Up your game.
Yeah. But Donnie, do you have anything else?
No, I think I'm good. I would ask if you have anything else, but I don't think any of us want to hear it. Maybe they.
I don't care to hear anything he's got to say.
Yeah.
So, do you have any last words before we let you go, JTR?
No, I don't. I just look. You're welcome. I'll say you're welcome. You're welcome to all the people who had nothing better to do and couldn't afford to go do anything else tonight because that's how broke they are. That I did my due diligence as a good human being, and I gave you some wonderful free entertainment tonight. Because the ratings, I'm sure, just like always, are through the roof. So you're welcome to Gavin for the ratings. You're welcome to the people for looking at me. I mean, that's enough in itself.
Well, we appreciate your time. That's a lot to be said for having
Very expensive.
nothing to say, but
Mhm.
but yeah, we
18.
appreciate your time. And
You're welcome. You're welcome, Donnie.
Yeah, thanks a lot, bud. Great to see you again.
You're welcome, buddy. Good to see you. We'll talk, pal.
All
we'll
right,
talk.
So
sounds good.
I'm sure we'll be seeing you next show. So thank you
Yeah.
very much. All
And
right.
yeah, I would reiterate this because I know you're a big Carlson guy. All the people over here are a big Carlson guy and everything. For a little while, I thought I was kind of a big Carlson guy, but and I hope and I think knowing JTR that he's not going to feed into this and give this as you used to call him, Walmart Cowboy, his 5 minutes of fame at Berkeley Mania and draw him into something with somebody in money and power. Because the plans worked out. I don't think there's anything to come in and change things at this point. The writing's already on the wall.
Yeah, who knows what's in store for Berkeley Mania? I mean, there are
We still have a whole other show to get to before Berkeley Mania, for that matter.
Exactly. I mean, because there have been 3 matches already announced for the next show.
Block Savage Jax, I would purposely get thrown into solitary confinement before I ever step foot in that ring with the call. You have got to be out of your mind to get in. And not only that, I'm not even throwing the variables for that. I'm not throwing anything else in this equation. Just getting in there with the car. Then you know the car's going through and who is the car. You want to involve yourself anywhere near that? No, dude. Lock yourself up if you have to. Do something. You don't want to get in there. Crazy.
Yes.
So if we're picking, there's no way you can choose Jax.
So for those who may have missed it, Zakar Shah versus the Cell Block Savage Jax. So that one was just announced. That's definitely going to be a heck of a match, I'm sure. And, another match that was announced today, I'm sure you are absolutely interested in, Donnie, because this is another man that for some reason just absolutely loves you.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Levi Mortalis versus Big Billy Gold. This will be Billy Gold's debut in WDWA. We haven't seen him before. I looked up some information on him, but I honestly, prior to seeing this announcement, didn't know much about Big Billy Gold. So I definitely look forwards to that matchup and seeing what Big Billy Gold can do. We've seen time and time again what Levi Mortalis can do. And we know Levi doesn't seem to like you too much, Donnie, and which is surprising because, the people of Levi's stature normally tend to gravitate towards you, but.
Yeah, well, he lost last time there.
But you know what? Since there's only 3 matches announced, we're not picking this show. So I'm not going to make you pick against Levi Mortalis this time. So that way, maybe he'll like you a little more. Who knows?
Probably not. I think he is my best plan.
And of course, the other match that was announced, we are going to see the Goons versus the Helm with JTR. And actually, I should have brought that up while we had JTR on here, but honestly, I did not think about it. So we will see the Helm in action against the Goons. The Goons who have already been announced for Berkeley Mania to be in contention for the tag team championship against the Helm, who so far has been left out of Berkeley Mania.
How great would it be that if the winner of this match went on to Berkeley Mania in that last spot, in that third spot, as it would be, going in order of how people challenged?
I was going to say, because they're. Yeah, you had said
even if the Helm wins, they get in the match. It'd be a lot of bodies, though. I wouldn't want a 5 tag team match in any sort of format and have to try to call that.
Oh, definitely not. But and so that will be Antebellum, August 8th, South Berkeley Fire Hall, 7556 Winchester Avenue in Inwood. Doors open 5:30, bell time 6:15. Front row $25, general admission $20. Be sure to hit up WDWA to reserve your seats. Front row always sells out quick, so I won't guarantee they're not already sold out, but be sure to hit them up if you're interested in getting a seat. And it's already shaping up to be a good show with only 3 matches announced, and just looking forward to that show.
I saw a lot of people going up to that the ticket and merch table. before the matches and during intermission. So you're right. So you might want to reach out for that quick. Only 3 matches announced, and you heard what's going on. Yeah, everybody knows what's going on, obviously, with Zakar and Clay. Not to keep talking about it, but that's one of the biggest wars happening in the world right now, and it's happening right there in Inwood, West Virginia.
And that will be the last show before we get to Berkeley Mania, August 29th. And, Berkeley Mania will be taking place at the Berkeley County Youth Fairgrounds, as always. So, this is the last stop on the road to Berkeley Mania. So make sure that you're there for that. Of course, if you're not, you can always get caught up. Juan can get you caught up on Frontline. Be sure to tune in for that. And like I say, tune in for Wrestle Talk podcast next week. We do have a great guest lined up for that. Like I say, we're going to have the pit bull of professional wrestling. Pitt himself will be there. And, Pitt was trained by Seth freaking Rollins. So it's definitely going to be a great interview, one that you're not going to want to miss. And other than that, check out the FWWC, the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide chapter, where we have fantasy wrestling. We make picks based on WWE, and we actually have real titles, which you can see of it. That's our tag team titles. Susie and I hold those, and we have Summer Stone coming up. And that we'll be doing that in conjunction with SummerSlam. And you can find out more about that on Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide chapter on Facebook. And hit us up and check us out. So, Donnie, as always, has been somewhat of a pleasure, I guess. I always enjoy talking with you, and having Zakar, that was a great conversation. And we the conversation with JTR wasn't too bad, so I think
One of
you
these
enjoyed
days
that
you'll
one
jump
more than
on
I
the
did.
old bandwagon, but we'll remember.
I don't know. We'll have to see that bandwagon. I don't know. That's a tough jump there. So, but yeah. So, and then be sure to tune in 2 weeks from tonight. We will be back right here with more Elevation, and we'll see who our guest will be. And by that time, we will firmly be on the road to Berkeley Mania. So,
Right. And we had that trivia question earlier. I did see Susie got it right in there in the comments. So congratulations, Susie. You win nothing. Ha!
yeah, she was the only one to put up the answer to that question. The Hall of Fame, we have had the Bruiser, Doug Rafferty, Kevin Mears, and now LT, the Latin Tornado. Those are our Hall of Fame so far for the WDWA. And, definitely looking forward to that. And, like I said, we were just talking about Berkeley Mania. Be sure you're there. Berkeley Mania Hall of Fame induction for the Latin Tornado. Definitely not going to want to miss it. He will be in attendance to receive his Hall of Fame induction, and just absolutely looking forward to seeing him inducted. So it's going to be a great night. But like I say, before that, our next stop, Antebellum, August 8th, South Berkeley Fire Hall. Make sure you're there. But until then, everybody just stay safe and we will see you at Antebellum.